Good morning, everyone. We're just going to give it a couple of minutes for people to join us. You're very welcome to this morning's webinar. Eleanor, if you could just go on mute there, please.
Sorry.
Thank you. So you're all very welcome. Great, so you're very welcome to this morning to our open day at Maynooth University. I'm just going to ask my colleagues if the video and sound is okay from their perspective. Yeah, great. So you're very welcome to Maynooth University's open day. We're delighted to have you here. We're going to give you an overview today of the accommodation options available at Maynooth and a brief overview of our student support services. Marianne Dunn is my name. I'm the Director of Student Services. And I'm joined here today by a number of my colleagues from across our campus. So I'm joined by our Home Finder representative, Eleanor Shannon. We have our student on-campus residents, Maria Fahy, and our Maynooth campus and conference accommodation, Katja Nolan, has joined us. So I'm going to give you a brief overview of our student services that are available here at Maynooth University. I've just shared my screen successfully, I hope. So you're very welcome. And this is our Maynooth University Student Services. We're located on the North Campus. Apologies, I'm just having a difficulty now. So our Student Services Department, it's comprised of a number of different supports, and our aim is really to provide a committed and dedicated support service to support students throughout their time at Maynooth University. We work closely with all the different academic departments and service departments and offices across the institution. And you'll have an opportunity to go onto our website and have a look at any of the supports that are available. This is a brief overview of our services. So we have a professional counselling service, which is provided free to our students. We have a student budgeting advisor. We are one of only 2 institutions in the country that provide the services. And that's, I know there's information available there that might help you in your preparation for coming to university, so they can offer guidance and support around Susie and all the different questions that arise in preparation for that transition to university. I've mentioned our Home Finder service. So our Home Finder service is for off-campus accommodation, both in Maynooth town and the surrounding towns. So we have a dedicated service to support students find accommodation off-campus. We have a student help desk, and they are there available virtually and in person to answer any general queries that you may have if you're unsure during your time at university where to go. We have a student support office, and that is there to offer one-to-one support for students throughout their time at university. We have a student health centre that provides free and dedicated health care during your time of studies. We have a chaplain who's there, again, would offer a lot of one-to-one support for students. And finally, we have our creche. They are available for any childcare needs for children between the ages of 1 and school-going age. And the last service there is our student support hub. So that's a front of house service for all students in Maynooth University. If you have any general queries about any of those services, you can pop them into the chat, or you can also go to our website. I've linked it there at the bottom. So it's maynoothuniversity.ie/student-services. So I'm going to move on to Maria next, and Maria is going to talk you through the on-campus accommodation options. while Marie is just getting her presentation ready there, if you do have any questions, please do feel free to pop them into the chat, and we'll either answer them on the chat or we can ask Maria to answer some of them live. Thanks very much.
Good morning, everybody. I hope you're doing well. I'm just checking with my colleagues that the screen is sharing okay there.
Perfect, Maria.
Yeah, perfect. So you're very, very welcome. I'm going to briefly run through on-campus residence and the setup for 2022-2023 for incoming CEO students. Sorry. Okay. So the first thing and the most common questions that we get asked, when and how can I book a room on campus? Our campus accommodation for first year students will book after the CAO offers. We unfortunately don't have a date for that yet, and we will be working around the CAO dates once they're published. But generally we book the day after the CAO offers, and we'll run the same this year. So we're hoping it'll go back to August, but the last year was in September. But just keep an eye on our website. We will publish the exact date, but it will be the day after the CAO booking, okay? What type of booking is it? It is a first come, first served online, and it is a very high demand booking. So just to do your preparation in advance of that. What do I need when I'm booking? So it's really important that you use a computer, a PC or laptop only. We do find that phones and tablets sometimes don't show the full website, or the form that we use doesn't display correctly, and it slows you down in the booking process. So please ensure you use a PC or laptop for that booking. On the day of booking, you will be asked to pay a €500 booking fee, and that will become your facilities fee. And you need to have access to your phone with the new online payment regulations. The phone attached to the card needs to be available to you to authorize that payment. Otherwise, you won't have secured your room. A big one we get, and unfortunately it's something that everyone needs to be prepared for, is what if I don't get a room? And this will be the case for a lot of students. We have 1,200 rooms on campus, and we offer over 50% of them to first years, but unfortunately we can't offer it to every first year student coming to Maynooth. There is a second offering in early September, and my colleagues that are coming after me will also give you lots of really good alternatives and choices for your accommodation here in Maynooth if you don't get campus accommodation or choose not to go with campus accommodation. Is there any schemes available for booking a room? So we have the first come, first served, which will run after the CAO. There is some schemes within the accommodation office, excuse me, sorry. And the first one is the Shkeen Cónaithe. So this is a designated block of 30 rooms in our Guidor halls for Irish speaking students. There is an expression of interest for first year students, which will go live early next year, and interviews will be held in August. And this is all decided by the Offic na Gaeilge. Sorry, my voice is going. The second offering we have is access rooms. So if you feel yourself or your son or daughter that's coming to Maynooth has a requirement for accommodation due to the impact of a disability, then absolutely this is the forum for you. There's an online application which is available on our website all year round. All applications are assessed by the Access Disability Office, and a room will be offered on campus once we receive a recommendation from them. Applications for this should be done as early as possible, just so that you can ensure you are allocated a room. Places are limited, but you are guaranteed a place if you are recommended to us. We also have sports scholarship rooms, and each year there's a defined number of rooms available on campus for new sports students. And if you are interested, you should contact the sports office for this, and they will give you more information. So another big question and an important one is, how much will campus accommodation cost? So the rates are published on our websites. I'm going to address it here. The rates have gone up by 2% this year. They haven't gone up since 2009. So there is a slight increase next year. This is all published on our website, so you can view that at your own time. And the rates are decided by the RTA and the HICP. So fluctuations could occur. So just to keep an eye on the website. We hope they won't, but we have to move with that. So it's €500 booking fee, which becomes a utilities charge. The fee per semester for the single ensuite room is €2,904, and the total for the year is €5,988. And the single shared bathroom is €2,244 per semester and €4,488 for the year. A change this year is our payment option. So we offer two options for payments. You can do semester pay, and we also offer a monthly payment option for campus accommodation. The semester pay is two payments, one in September before your arrival and one in mid-January. Our monthly pay option is the current month's rent plus the last month's rent paid in advance prior to your check-in. And then there's 7 monthly payments thereafter on a payment date set out in a clear schedule for you. Prices are the same for all residents, regardless of how you're coming through or what scheme or how you're booking. If you do require support with budgeting, Marianne referred to the budgeting advice service, and it would be advisable to speak to them. And the rooms for incoming first years next year will be in the River single ensuite apartments and the Village single shared bathroom apartments. So a big area we like to address in this presentation and at all our open days and when we speak to parents and students is when you decide to live on campus, you're deciding to live as part of a community. And this is your community and you're responsible for that community. We do find that people feel that they need to live with people that they know coming. That's not necessarily the case. We've lots of people who've come back said they've met friends for life. And certainly everybody, regardless of where you're living on campus, are a 3 to 4 minute walk from each other at any time. So if you're not in the exact same apartment as the person coming from your school, it isn't really that big of a deal. They're very close by at all times. The campus residence is a very diverse community. We have international students, continuing students, and first years all living in the apartments. You could be living with anybody with all the first year apartments are together, but there could be people from different nationalities, different courses, different age groups. So it's important to be mindful of that and make sure that is what you want. The other key element that we try to stress is this is independent living. And you need to make sure that you're ready for that. So you're living in a shared apartment, you need to be able to negotiate rotas for cleaning, negotiate any issues that you may have within the apartment, and really be able to live independently in a shared space. And lastly, and a key point is be a good neighbour. So I'm sure you may have already seen our virtual tour, but all of our complexes are 3 and 4 stories high. So you've 6 to 8 apartments in every building. So it's important to be mindful and respectful of the people around you, and just to be prepared for that there's people around you at all times. I beg your pardon, sorry. So how do I complete the application form on the booking day? So there is a sample application form on our website, and it's recommended that you go through that form in advance of the booking day in a lot of detail. Some helpful tips for the day are have your CEO number ready, not your leaving cert number, your CEO number. Your PPS number will be required. I just want to reiterate that you should only use a laptop or desktop to complete the form. Research your room type in advance. Ensure that you understand what you're booking and check out what's most suitable for you from a budget point of view and also from a what you'd be comfortable living in point of view, and have that decision made with, well, I suppose whoever's paying the bills in advance. Ensure you have your booking fee of €500 for payment at the time of booking. Your room is only secure once the payment is complete. A big issue this year with the new online guidelines was people had a room, but they couldn't get their bank to allow them to process the payment. There is nothing we can do in that instance because it's an online first come, first served, and the availability is all controlled by the system. So you need to make sure that you can make that payment online by checking with your bank in advance so that you don't encourage that issue. Once you've successfully completed your booking and made your payment, you will receive a confirmation email to the email address included in the application form. So please make sure your email address is correct when you're filling out the form. It is a pity that we can't have you all on campus, and we loved meeting everyone, but nonetheless, we do have a virtual tour. And if you want to do this at your own time from your own home, you can check it out on our website, and you can check the River apartments, the courtyard apartments. You can have a look at our laundry facilities, our residence office, our reception, and it just gives you a feel for where you might be living if you choose to come to Maynooth and you live on campus. So that's a very quick overview of it all. If there is any questions after the webinar, please do feel free to ask during this, or we're happy to take any emails at residence.office@mu.ie. And thank you for taking the time to listen to me today.
Thanks very much, Maria. That's great. Lots of really useful information there. And as Maria mentioned, if you have any questions, you're welcome to put them into the Q&A box and we'll work our way through them. So next, I'm going to hand you over to my colleague, Eleanor. And Eleanor is going to take you through an overview of our Home Finder service, which is the off-campus offering.
Thanks, Marianne. Just share my screen.
That's perfect.
See it? Yeah?
Yeah, great. Thank you.
Okay, so as Marianne said, I'm going to talk you through the Home Finder service, which is part of the Student Services unit. So here is some of the contact information that you might need that is also available on our website. So the email address is homefinder.service@me.ie, and this, when you go onto the Maynooth's website, you can come directly into information to do with the service that we offer. This is the Home Finder service. Actually consists of a database which is housed on this web address here, which I'll be talking about now. So the Home Finder service is a free service that is available to students and to prospective students like yourselves who require information on options for finding accommodation in the community for the duration of their academic programme. So we have a list of, I mentioned StudentPad, which is the database that we have of landlords, and it lists the properties and adverts are put up at the different times during the year of when they have places available for accommodation. There's a section on information and resources as well on our website and also on StudentPad, where you can find some tips and guides to help you, such as the student and landlord guides, when you're actually looking for accommodation. So there could be search hints and tips, worksheets and things like that as well. We also run information sessions for first year students and parents after August, once all the CAO placements have been offered, just to give you a bit more up-to-date information on how to actually get access to StudentPad. So the two main options that are available for students for off-campus accommodation one would be sharing with an owner in a digs situation, and the second is where they might rent a house or apartment on their own or with others, with their friends. So the most private sector accommodation for Maynooth students is an owner-occupied family home style, where the student will live within a family. And this would be very nice for first-year students usually, because it will help them with their transition from school to university. Sometimes it's harder when you're living on your own to you'll be living with strangers, and maybe one person may not pay their bills, or they could go out late nights, dirty dishes, things like that. So it helps them to settle into a family home, which would be more home from home. So the student will have less worries at a time when they're trying to adjust as well to university life. Many homes also provide food options such as breakfast, bed and breakfast, and also varying number of nights that you can stay per week. Some landlords may have both on offer, and they'll negotiate. The price will vary then depending on whether you're staying 5 or 7 nights. And the other alternative is where you rent a room, rent a house or an apartment on your own or with other people. For all the accommodation in the locality, we also have a section on the Maynooth website which gives out information on transport to the various areas for the buses that will. There's a very good bus service around Maynooth. So if you are renting a house or an apartment with other people, there is different regulation than if you're on your own within a family. So the regulation and legislation around renting a house, you can ensure that you have a lease. So before you actually commit to renting a house, you would normally have a lease, and you need to review this carefully before signing. You'd be covered by the Residential Tenancies Act 2015, which gives you certain rights and responsibilities, and also the landlord from the other perspective. If there are any issues with the landlord, they should also be registered with the Residential Tenancies Board, which means you can actually have a company that you can go to if there are any complaints or any disputes that you need to discuss, or to get advice on that. If you are renting in a home, it would be quite different, where it will be much more of a unique relationship. Some landlords will have pets, and the student will have to be comfortable with that. Some might only be females only, and maybe only comfortable having other females in the home. So that would be very unique in between the landlord and the student. This would be very much unregulated, so as it is within somebody's home. But we do recommend to draft a written agreement with them, which would form a license to reside, that you have that you have actually talked about what expectations you might have, because it is good to be clear on what expectations you both sides have from the very beginning. For example, what time the student can come home at, whether the front door is locked at night, things like that. Would be important to be clear that there is, because it is important that communication is always flowing between people when they're living together. We do advise as well that students will bring a parent or another adult just for an alternative view, because sometimes with experience of having bought property and looking out for different things, it does help to have another eye on a property, where you might actually notice, for example, street lighting for safety and things like that that a student mightn't necessarily think about. This is the website. This is Student Pad and a sample screenshot of it. And it will be available 24 hours to people to view all the different properties that you can search. The content is live, which means that we would regularly have other landlords adding their properties up during the course of the academic year. So it can fluctuate a lot in what properties are available. The landlords normally will put up photos, so give a description also of their property. And there is a section over here where you can search on a map as well and even fine tune into a specific area. So you can filter all the different various filters up here, allow you to search as whatever your preference is based on your budget or your location. It is important to note that this is actually exclusive to Maynooth University students only, so that the landlords are aware of this, that they will be getting Maynooth University students. Once you have been given a CAO offer, you're automatically sent an invitation to access the Maynooth Student Pad in August, and you'll be able then to browse and to look for different properties. We do advise you to view the room or property in advance. If you can't physically go in to see it, maybe to view via Zoom or WhatsApp. And again, like I mentioned earlier, maybe to bring a parent or somebody else with you just to be able to have another opinion as well, another viewpoint. Here's a sample of some of the different rates that would be depending on the different accommodation that you would be taking. So this would be the owner-occupied family homes situation, where there usually would be broken into 3 different types that people will go for. There's partial or full board, where you would get all your meals included and your utilities. The range of stay can range from 4 to 7 days. And the average pay in general will be 130 to 150. This is just a guide on the different rental amounts, and they can vary depending on the different accommodation facilities that are offered as well. Self-catering would mean that you can actually have access to the kitchen within the house to be able to cook your own dinners. And that will be slightly reduced in the pay as well, that you can see that the price is a little bit cheaper than if you're going to do that. And again, that can be varying lengths of stay that will be available for. And some people will just offer the room. Again, that will vary again on how much that will be charged. They might have sometimes separate entrances as well for this. So it really depends on the property, on the homeowner. Then if you are going to rent a house or an apartment, you could be sharing with other tenants, which could be students, but maybe other people, other professionals. So that would be completely separate from that. You wouldn't have any, your meals and utilities would be outside of that. And the standard average price would be around $450 to $500, excluding your bills, but that would depend again on where you're actually getting that property from. So this is just a guide and some examples to give you. You may hear that there is no accommodation available around Maynooth, and although we do have a national crisis to do with accommodation, in Maynooth University, we would rely a lot on local landlords. So there's always somewhere to live, because a lot of them will actually open up their homes to students and enjoy having a student living with them to give them a home from home, like I mentioned earlier. So on the Home Finder section of our website that I mentioned before, there is a lot of tips and hints and things to help you, maybe to guide you in your search for accommodation. And it also gives you a little bit of the side of the landlord and what they maybe need to be looking for as well, that you can see to try and match up a suitable property for your son or daughter. Here are some useful websites that we have as well to offer you. The first one is our Home Finder service. The second is Threshold, which is an agency to offer advice and guides. And actually, they also have a section particularly for students where they give them some tips for looking for accommodation. The IPOA is for the Irish property owners, so that'll be more geared towards the landlords, where they give them information on leases and training provided for landlords. And the RTV I mentioned earlier is the if you have a dispute or anything maybe that might arise, or you can also check whether a landlord is registered. That would be for when you're renting a property, a room or an apartment outside, that then you can check that as well. So here again is our contact information, should you need it. If you have any further queries, that you can email us afterwards and we'll follow up as soon as we can. Many thanks for that, and hopefully I've covered everything there. Thank you.
Thanks very much, Eleanor. That's great. So if you just... Sorry.
Okay. Yeah.
Great, thanks very much.
Thank you.
So that's great. There's a good overview there of our home finder service. So the next person up is Katja, and Katja is going to give you another option that's available here on the campus of Maynooth University. So you're welcome to share your screen there. Again, if you have any questions, do feel free to pop them into the Q&A and we will answer them as they come in.
Good morning and thank you. My name is Katja Nolan. I'm the Sales and Marketing Manager here at Maynooth Campus Conference and Accommodation, the University Conference Office. You have heard from the off-campus accommodation from Eleanor and Maria with the on-campus accommodation, but we have another opportunity for all proposed Maynooth University students. We offer short stay, occasional accommodation on campus. So the presentation, the summary would just be who we are, what we are, where, when, but most importantly, why you might need us. The accommodation options, the range, the choice that we have on offer on a nightly basis, and also our rates. And also then how to book with us, which is more important, and peace of mind with the times that we are living in, just a few requirements that we actually adhere to with Fáilte Ireland, and also our social media handles. So Maynooth Campus Conference and Accommodation, as I mentioned, is the university's conference office. So we have 72 bedrooms available all year round. 24 of those are ensuite, and then we have private standard college rooms also. We also are lucky to offer a beautiful breakfast service in Fusion Hall as well. So bed and breakfast is an opportunity. We're located on the South Campus under the archway in Callan Hall. The university is quite large in the beginning, it looks like it, but actually it's quite small and very commutable. So it's ideal for our commuter guests. Our opening times vary, especially at the times now, especially for the academic year. We've got very generous opening and closing times. And why you might need us? Well, you could be here on an occasional basis. Could be a one night stay, could be one night a week. Or maybe, you know, for something like a club or society meeting on campus that might run over and it might suit your timetable. So as I mentioned, we're here for all students and the academic staff. So for student overnight stays. Perhaps you've joined a club or society and they might have an intervarsity or they might have a club event. That might be suitable to your academic schedule. For group stays, perhaps you are coming to stay on the campus and live there full time, but maybe perhaps your parents or friends are coming up to visit and they want to be close to you, but then they could actually then stay with us on the campus as well. And also during exam times. So January, May and August are the exam times here on the campus. And for January and May, we would have the 72 bedrooms available. But actually during the August repeat exams, we would have 1,300 beds available. So it might be before an exam, maybe to get a bit of study done, and during the exam days that you are here. We offer our students choice. We have, as I mentioned, 72 bedrooms available, similar to a hotel. We have 48 college bedrooms. They're not en suite, they're private bedrooms. They have tea and coffee facilities within the bedroom and a study desk and chair. Then there are 24 en-suites, which obviously have the en-suite facility and a television within the room. All of these bedrooms are located quite close to the university library, so it's very flexible with regards to the opening and closing times and very accessible for all students. As I mentioned, Fusion Hall, the beautiful Fusion Hall, is on the campus, on the South Campus, and that's where our guests can avail of a college continental breakfast. It is quite substantial continental breakfast, as you can see, and it is booked when booking the accommodation, or perhaps on check-in if you want to change your mind. And all guests, our restaurant service receive the guest names, and also then it's booked the night previous. We are located on the South Campus. So the South Campus is the heritage side of the university. It dates back to 1795. And when you come in the main gates, you'll see the beautiful Stoit House, which is the very first building that was built. And there are two archways either side of this beautiful building, and we're inside the archway on the left. So very accessible when you come into the university grounds. Our opening hours are very generous, as I mentioned. We're open from 7:30 to 11. This is subject to change. It does change accordingly to the guidelines and accordingly to the academic year. So why might you need us, and why stay with us? Well, if you are commuting, which if you're not staying on campus or off campus, you may wish to. And as Eleanor mentioned, there is quite a few bus routes that come up, and they're quite a good service, as it's the only university town in Ireland. But to reduce your commute, perhaps you might have a 5-day schedule, and maybe 1 or 2 nights you wish to stay on the campus just to break it up a little bit. Or maybe perhaps you're studying late in the library, or you're meeting friends, or perhaps you have a club or society meeting on the campus that might go over. You can always ring us at any time. We're open till 11 o'clock. So you might want to take the opportunity to stay on the campus. Or maybe you have an assignment that needs to that might get completed in time. Or as I mentioned before, during the exam times, maybe prior to an exam, the few days before, maybe to get a bit of study in, and during the exam times as well. So what is it like to be a student on the campus? And here's a small video, a short video. It shows the types of accommodation that we have on offer and where our reception is located, and also gives you a taste of what it's like to stay on the campus as a student. So our rates, we have special academic rates for our students. Our 2021 rates start from €36. That's for a standard college bedroom, which is private and has cubicle shower and toilet facilities down the corridor. Perhaps though you may have a few friends, and maybe 2 of you wish to share a room, so would reduce the price. We also have discounts for consecutive night stays. So say if you need to be on the campus for 2 or 3 nights consecutively, we would have a discount option there, or perhaps if it is full-time with regards to a few nights for say 7-night stay for just a short duration. We also offer exam special offers, updates on our availability, as we are very busy, as you can imagine, with guests that stay Monday to Friday with us. So it's an ideal option to book and stay and choose your required accommodation, especially during the January, May and autumn exam months. We have quite a few students who wish to avail of the consecutive night stays. And we have a short-term, regular short stay booking form for our students. And this is so that they can book in advance for the 24 academic weeks of the year should they require, on the nights that they require, and secure it with the credit card details, but no payment is taken until they arrive for their accommodation and when they check in. We also have a flexible cancellation policy, and our cancellation policy at the moment is 10 o'clock, sorry, I beg your pardon, on the previous day of check-in. So if you were checking in today at 2 o'clock, you would have had to have cancelled without charge 10 o'clock last night. Safety is paramount on the campus. We have 24-hour on-campus security. We meet the HSA and the relevant Fáilte Ireland guidelines. And also we have, if you want to see, our COVID-19 safety statement on our website. The statement gives information and advice regarding the booking, checking in, payment, and access to the bedrooms and the shared facilities. We also hold the Fáilte Ireland COVID Safety Charter, and this is a government-endorsed initiative to reassure employers and employees that our office is ready to open and give the confidence to our students and our guests staying with us that we are Fáilte Ireland Safety Charter approved. We're also very fortunate that Maynooth Campus Conference and Accommodation has been awarded the Fáilte Ireland Welcome Standard. This is a quality assurance award to ensure our guests receive a friendly, hospitable and efficient welcome when they stay with us. We're also fortunate to have received and retained the Fáilte Ireland Service Excellence Award, and this shows that we strive for best-in-class service experience for all our guests. What are the benefits of staying with us? Well, we have fully serviced standard bedrooms, so all the linen, the toiletries, all provided in our standard college rooms and our ensuite bedrooms. You have the option of a single, I beg your pardon, or shared occupancy, depending on what you require. We have a contactless booking procedure and also a smartphone room access. This is something that we, during COVID times, have brought in. So we ask our guests to fill out a registration card. They return to us by email. Then we actually would take payment contactless. And then we would ask them to download our app, and there they would receive their room key for the required dates and duration, and they'll be able to access it, as you saw in our video, by their smartphones. We also have the option of coming in to check in physically with us and saying hello to us at our reception. We have enhanced cleaning and safety facilities in line with the Government Ireland COVID-19 safety standards. We also then have to give the benefit for a short stay option form for our students and guests. And also, as I mentioned, the cancellation policy is very generous. So how do you book or make a query? Please phone us and speak to our reception. The phone number is there. Perhaps maybe email us and we'll be happy to answer any questions that you might have. And click on our website, and there you'll be able to see all our accommodation options and how we might be able to help you during your time here as a Maynooth University student. Please stay connected with us. Our Facebook, Instagram and Twitter accounts are all there. We would obviously, any last minute availability or anything like that, any information, we would obviously share it there first where possible. So stay connected with us and we'd love to hear from you.
Thanks very much, Katja. That's fantastic. So that's the end of our presentations. Thank you all very much for your time. I would like to just invite you, if you do have any questions, to pop them into the chat. We did have one which Maria has kindly answered, just in relation to the sharing of kitchens in the dorms. So you'd be on average sharing with approximately 4 other students, but in some cases there may be 5 or 6 students living in a student apartment. So if anybody else has any other questions, they're welcome to pop them into the Q&A before we finish. One question, Maria, I know that comes up quite frequently is often around a PPS number for our international students. So it's not a requirement, I believe, if they're international, you give them
Absolutely, yeah. So if you're an international student, there is on sample application form, it gives you a sample PPS number to use. There's also, we've changed the application form to prompt you to put in the correct sample application. So it's basically a DUD PPS number to get you through that, but just have that prepared in advance of your booking as well. Perfect.
There's a question just coming in, if you want to stay full-time, are family allowed to visit? So I'm not quite sure if that's in relation, which accommodation option that's in relation to. If it is, student residents are permitted daytime visitors. Katja, would you like to mention just if people are allowed, how that works?
Absolutely, by all means.
Yeah.
If they want to contact us by phone or email, we're happy to help, and we can advise of the appropriate accommodation that's on the South Campus. It means that they'll be close to you, but they won't be staying with you, but they'll be on the campus with you. And it's kind of similar to a hotel grade of accommodation for our ensuite accommodation.
Perfect, thanks very much. There's just another question there in relation to when do we apply for the on-campus accommodation? So it'll be the day after the CAO.
Offers, yeah.
We don't have that date yet, unfortunately, but if you keep a very close eye on the website, those details will be updated and published as soon as we have them. Another good question, can we access this webinar after the presentation ends? It will be available and you can access it through the admissions website. Another question we have in, and it's very fair and frequently asked question at the moment, in relation to whether or not students have classes every day or if there's courses that may have certain days off. So there are, at the moment, the model that we're operating is a hybrid model at the university. So there are face-to-face hours on campus, and then there are some remote and online learning hours as well. It very much varies according to each course. So it would be difficult to give you a definitive answer on the balance, but it's again in line with public health restrictions and guidelines at the time as well. So at the moment, it's a hybrid model. So some students would have days where they're not on campus, particularly for class. So I hope that answers that. Maria, I have a question there for student residents. What's the difference between the lower courtyard and the upper courtyard, if you want to?
I'm not really sure what the question is asking. So all of the courtyard apartments are the same. Student accommodation is generally, they're carbon copies of each other regardless of what building you're in. It's important to note that courtyard won't be available for incoming first year students. It'll be river and village apartments that will be available to incoming first years.
Great. Great, so that's all of the questions there at the moment. Again, if anybody has any others, they're welcome to pop them into the chat and we can answer them. The webinar will be available to watch back because I know there's a lot of information shared in it. And what I would say is the websites for each service has all of this information on it as well that you can access throughout the year. And if you have a very particular question that you want to ask any of us while you're contemplating your CEO, you're very welcome to get in touch with the services directly. Either you can email the service or phone them. There's a question just coming in around accommodation options and the cost and the I suppose affordability for students. And we're very conscious that there are a number of different price ranges for everybody. And there is a lot in the media, I suppose, around the cost of living for students, including rent and utilities and contribution in the university. So what I'd say is the accommodation options that we've talked about here today, the guides that perhaps Eleanor has given you are just a guide. So we may have an average worked out for 5-day accommodation in the town, but there may be cheaper alternatives or there may be more expensive alternatives. Some of them may be cheaper if you're sourcing a room only and you're not, the family are not cooking for you. Some students do a blended stay, so they might commute for 2 days a week. And then if they've an early start, they may use the options that Katja has talked you through. So they might only pay for 1 night a week, or for the peak periods of exams, they might come up and stay for a week. What I'd say is if you're needing support or you have any particular questions, again, you're welcome to get in touch with us directly after over the next couple of weeks or months. So don't hesitate to reach out to us if you have any concerns or questions. And you can also tap into the website for the Student Budgeting Advice Service. There's lots of information available on that as well. We have a question here in relation to on-campus accommodation. Maria, what do the utilities cover?
The utilities cover all of the bills for the year. So your maintenance, your electricity, your heating, your Wi-Fi, bins, 24-hour reception, cover, security cover, and a vast array of other stuff, but they're the principal ones. And there is no additional cost to any of that. That is your upfront fee. It is non-refundable, but it covers the cost for the full academic year. There is no additional charges, whether you use more heating or less. That's just the overall cost for everybody.
Brilliant. Great. And it is covering quite a lot, particularly when you include the Wi-Fi and services like that. Another question, just in terms of the accessibility for the disability route and the accommodation, what the deadline is in terms of applying for that.
So we never close the access scheme. So it's available all through the year. I suppose what we would encourage is that you apply early, because the earlier we get your application, the more likely we are to be able to offer you a suitable room. If you were to apply late and get a recommendation late, you would be prioritised for the next room to come available if we were fully booked. But the earlier book, you can ensure yourself a room and you've that secured and you're ready to go.
Fantastic. That's great. So that's all of the questions we have there at the moment. All of this will be available to watch back, and just to remind you that it is also, the majority of it is on the website. So the only thing that's left for me to do today is to say thank you to all of you for coming to our webinar. We are very happy to, I suppose, give you an overview of the accommodation options in Maynooth University. Maynooth is a fantastic town and a great place to come and study in. It's a really diverse university, and we do find that the accommodation options are less pressurized in Maynooth than they would be perhaps in a city where you may be competing against higher numbers of people for accommodation. So we tend to have a good supply of accommodation, not without its challenges at times because of COVID, but we generally have excellent options there for our students. All of the services that have been talked about today are on the website, and there are online chats as well available for the rest of the open day. So if you do have particular questions around Home Finder, I know Eleanor will be there to answer some of them. So do feel free to get in touch. And I'd just like to say a big thank you to our panelists today, to Maria, Eleanor and Katja. It's always great to hear the different services that are there and set them out, because there's such a good quality service offered to our students and prospective students. And in the background, we have Deirdre from the admissions office, who's been organising and hosting and supporting this webinar to make sure that we all do what we're meant to do. So thank you all very much, and I hope you enjoy the rest of your open day.